Hello and welcome to Seven Legal again. This week is an amazing week for us at Seven Legal. I am Olachi Anyikwa. Today we will be addressing the issues of gender-based violence in the workplace. I have an amazing lawyer to discuss with me on today's show. But before we get onto the show, let's break. We'll be right back.
7TV Nigeria.
7TV.
7TV. It's all about you.
And we need to discuss in today's show is a lady I admire. Just meeting her few seconds. I think I love her already. She is a lawyer. She's a principal proprietor at Linked Legal Attorneys in Abuja here. And her name is Namaka Onyema. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Olachi.
So let's get into the show proper. Okay. Why gender-based violence? Why do you think this issue is still a topical issue in Nigeria and also in the world globally?
Let me start by saying what gender-based discrimination is. Gender-based discrimination in the workplace is any form of any action that specifically denies privileges, opportunities, or reward to a person or a group of persons in the workplace. Discrimination in the workplace could look like unequal pay based on gender of people in the same position. It could look like sexual harassment. It could look like racism or ethnicism. It could also be women not being promoted as often as the men. Now, there are causes to this in the workplace, and a few of them is workplace culture, lack of female leaders.
In spite of the sensitization that has gone on, you've seen sensitization on gender equality, feminism. Nigeria is clamoring for more respect for fundamental human rights. There's still this issue going on. Isn't that the sensitizations are not working, or what could also be why is it still a predominant issue in Nigeria?
I won't say it's not working. It's working. You know, a lot of people are beginning to speak out more on they are being sexually harassed in the workplace, especially the female gender, and in the Labour Act does not specifically provide for sexual harassment, but sexual harassment does not go without a framework in Nigeria, because in Nigeria we have a lot of laws that protect human dignity. First of all, we'll talk of the Nigerian Constitution, where Section 32 of the Nigerian Constitution provide for freedom to rights of dignity of human person, and Section 42 provides for freedom from discrimination, right to freedom from discrimination. So the Constitution is one very important law that protects human rights discrimination from even in the workplace. So there are some other laws that have been established by state legislatures for their states and federal legislature for the Federal Capital Territory. We have laws like that when it comes to sexual harassment in the workplace. We have laws like we have the Lagos State's Domestic Abuse Prohibition Law of 2007. We have the Ekiti State's Prohibition Against Sexual-Based Violence of 2019. And of course, we have the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act of 2015. These laws provide for redresses, provide for punishments of violators of human rights, or violators of sexual-based violence in the workplace. And then we have the National Industrial Courts, civil law procedure rules. The National Industrial Courts is a special court that deals with any form of dealings or problems or cases in the workplace. So sexual harassment is one of the cases that the Industrial Court has dealt with, and some of these rules have become precedents to solving cases of gender-based violence in the workspace. So these laws protect workers or employees in the workspace. It provides for punishments of these people that have broken these rules, and it provides reward for victims of sexual-based violence in the workplace.
Okay, when you're talking about work culture, and are you saying that there's some work culture that doesn't enable women or people who are abused to flourish properly? And what could be some of the examples of those work cultures that really do that?
We start with discrimination from the recruitment or interview process. You see some requests for employees, adverts that says, oh, we need a female secretary, or we need a male litigant, a litigation lawyer, or we need a female hairdresser, you know, things like that. So it starts from there.
Okay, so there's the differences of saying female lawyer.
Yeah, it's not right. And then there are some culture that pays in some offices that they pay the male employees higher than the female employees working in the same position on a level of work. Yes, because they feel the men put in more time to work, or they feel like the woman very soon she will get married and then she will go on with her business of marriage and bearing kids, and she won't have time to. So most times she's not even a permanent worker, you know. So they sideline the women. And when you don't have women leaders or female mentors in the workspace, you see there is a gap between male workers and female. There is no balance in the workplace of gender, which also affects results of work inputs.
Okay, so I want to know, what are the different forms this gender-based violence, apart from the starting point of recruitment that you mentioned, in the workplace, in the work environment, what are the other forms of discriminations that women face?
Let me talk of sexual harassment in the workplace. Sometimes it comes from the superior, sometimes even from your colleagues. You see in the workplace, you see winking, you see hugging, grabbing, smacking. Okay. Those are uncomfortable experience.
I think it's only uncomfortable if the person involved says it's uncomfortable. Because if your colleague hugs you, is it the way the hug is done?
I think it's the way the hug is done. And most times, colleagues are not necessarily friends. For the fact that I'm in the office, working in the same office with you, does not mean we are friends. So you can't just come forward and, you know, grab, or thinking, oh, because you're my colleague, I have access to your body. You know, some colleagues whistle, maybe when a female co-worker passes and they whistle, you know how they do that thing. So, and then even sending nude photos. Yes, you can just be on your desk doing your work and your phone beeps and you look and it's a colleague sitting across that sends a nude photo of maybe even someone else. And it makes you uncomfortable because the person is even looking at you, waiting to see your reaction.
That's weird.
Yeah, so there are a lot of instances where...
from the sexual part in another instance.
Yeah, I've talked about the unequal pay.
You know, I had to do a little research and I realized that about 63% of women at some point in their life have encountered or witnessed or been a victim of gender-based violence.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, does this have any effect maybe in their emotions, their confidence, the way they relate with people? What is the effect this thing has on their daily life?
Okay, let me tell you a quick story. There is a young girl in the university. In her 300 level, she was posted to a technology firm to do her IT industrial training. This is somebody that has 1 year left in school. So she was posted to this private technology firm in Lagos. And when she started her IT, it's not unusual for people or workers, employees to be called to come during the weekends to work, maybe clear your desk or prepare ahead of the coming week, you know. So one of these weekends on a Saturday, her boss sent her a message to come to the office to do some work in preparation for Monday. So she went, and it's not unusual to be alone since it's a weekend. So she went to work, and her boss was there, and one thing led to another. She was raped by him. This rape led to an unwanted pregnancy, and of course her boss denied having any carnal knowledge of her. She got pregnant, her parents had to send her away. She had no job, she had no means of livelihood, she had to drop out of school. So you can imagine the rest. Yes. Now, apart from unwanted pregnancy, you are open to sexually transmitted disease, HIV and all. There is depression, stress, post-traumatic stress disorder. You're not bringing in results as much in the workplace as much as you should be bringing. Some people even have suicidal thoughts. So all this affects your work inputs or outputs of your work in the workplace.
Do you think this also happens to pregnant women? Like this discrimination because they are pregnant and issues, and coming back to work would be difficult? And do you think the stereotyped they're not given enough opportunity because of the pregnancy? Yeah,
gender stereotype is one particular issue or reason for discrimination in the workplace. Even before you even get pregnant, by the time they're employing you, even before they even employ some of them, they say they don't want a female because even if we employ, you see some offices, they say when we employ you, you can't, even if you are married, you can't get pregnant for the first 2 years. Which is discriminatory, because they feel when you get pregnant and you're put in a family way, you're pregnant, after you give birth, you can't do as much as you should do in the office space. So there is that discrimination between male and female requirement for work. I think one of the solutions to this part of the discrimination is to provide accessibility to childcare in the workspace.
You know, you talked about labor law, and I'm wondering, is labor law only fine on paper? Because when you mentioned labor law, you said they had what's it called? They had rules and they already had plans, or they have laws that are already guiding this. But it seems as if it's not predominant in Nigerian system. You see that the people who are being victimized are scared to speak up, or is that there's no law to protect those people that already speak up, so making it look as if everyone is silent? What is the Constitution doing to protect these women, or even men, because men also go through this gender that are also already affected by gender violence?
There are certain laws in place apart from the Constitution I've mentioned that provides for fundamental human rights. There are certain laws of the states, like the Criminal Code, which is applicable in the southern part of Nigeria. Some section 351 to 361 protects for or provides for that. And then we have the Penal Code, which is applicable in the northern part. I think section 281 and 285 of the Penal Code protects for individuals who have been sexually harassed in the workplace, in labor law, everything that arises from employment. So these laws provides for people to speak up. If you speak up and you can prove that I was actually sexualized or I was harassed sexually by my co-workers or my superiors in the workspace, and you speak up, you take it to court, it can be dealt with.